All right, folks, so let's go ahead and get this dealt with today. My plan this week is to give you one assignment and then one short test, and that will be the end of the 6 weeks. So just a reminder, 6 weeks ends this Friday. So today what we're going to do is find area of a hexagon. And the idea behind it is pretty straightforward, but first I want to make sure we have all of our materials, okay? And I have posted a link for this as well for you folks. You will definitely need a calculator, so make sure that you have one. The one that I'm going to recommend is the very one it's on the internet, so anyone can find it. It's just desmos.com/scientific. It has everything that we need, has our sine, cosine, tangent, all of our multiplication, everything we need. So it's a good calculator, and it'll work just fine for what we need. Okay, so the idea behind this is very simple. What I'm going to go ahead and do is essentially this. I'm going to take this triangle here, or take this hexagon, excuse me, and I'm going to cut it into triangles. And the idea is very simple. Area of a single triangle is 1/2 base times height. Well, this is a hexagon. It has 6 triangles. So therefore, what I'm going to do, 6 1/2 base times height. So that's basically the plan. So I'm going to find one of the triangles. So I'm going to multiply it by 6, and I'm going to call it a day. A couple of things I want to make sure we're clear about in terms of definitions. So this right here is the base, the entire length, okay? And this right here is going to be the height, all right? And you'll notice that we make a right triangle. So there it is. So there is my base, there is my height. Once I have both of those, times 6. The other thing that we're going to go ahead and need, I want to remind you of, this is a hexagon. We did mention this at some point. Hexagons have 120 degrees for each angle. Okay? So when we cut them in half, each hexagon, each little part down here is then therefore going to be, when I cut it in half, each angle is going to be 60 degrees. So this angle right here, so this angle right here is going to be 60. Okay? There we go. So each angle is going to be 60 degrees, so we are going to use that as well. So basically, folks, we're going to find the base, we're going to find the height, and then do 6, because there's 6 triangles, 1/2 base times height. That's the idea. All right, so let's do a couple of quick examples for you guys, okay? Try to keep this as short and concise as possible. So here's one example. I've given you the triangle already, and so here's kind of what we're going to go ahead and do. First, as a reminder, this angle down here is exactly 60 degrees. So as a reminder, 60 degrees, folks. I cannot stress that enough. Right there. All right? Okay, so looking back to a few other things that we've done before. I'm going to label pieces. We spent a lot of time doing this, folks. So I'm going to take a look at this triangle right here, and I'm going to label pieces as opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. Now, what triangle am I looking at? I am looking at this triangle right here. Okay? So, here's what I'm going to do. Let's label things first. This right here, there's a 60. So I'm going to draw the little arrow there. There's opposite. This down here, that's adjacent. And the 12 is my hypotenuse. So I'm going to find the opposite, which is going to be my height. I'm going to find the adjacent, which I need to double, which will then become my base. And then I have everything I need, and I'll just go and type it in the calculator to be done with it, okay? So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to say, fine, let's go ahead and we'll just start with opposite, I guess. It doesn't really matter. So opposite, and I give you hypotenuse. If you look at your formula chart, which I also have a link for you, opposite and hypotenuse is sine. So I'm going to say find sine of 60 equals opposite over hypotenuse. We've done this before, guys. Cross multiply, done this before too. So opposite, which is going to be my height in this case, 12 times sine of 60. Okay? And I'll go type it in the calculator in just a minute. I'll deal with that in a minute, all right? So now let's find the adjacent. Now remember, we need to double it, so we're going to do that as well. So adjacent and hypotenuse, that's, once again, formula chart, that is going to be cosine. So I'm going to say cosine 60 adjacent over hypotenuse. Once again, cross multiply, folks. Don't change that. So adjacent equals 12 times cosine. Fix that. Cosine, even I make mistakes, folks, 60. So I got everything I need. I just need to start typing stuff in. I'm going to start right there with the adjacent piece because I'm pretty sure that's a whole number, and I'm going to need to double that part. So I'm going to go grab my calculator. So I'm going to go find, let's see here, 12 times cosine of 60 is apparently 6. So going back to my picture here, there it is. So here's what I'm going to say. That part, the base part of it is 6. I do need to double it, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So if this part is 6, and it is, then this whole base here is 12. Okay? So, base is 12. Height is still going to be this right here. I know that's not a nice whole number, so I'm just going to leave that as is, let the calculator deal with it. So 6 times 1/2 base times height. So go back to your calculator. 6 times 1/2 base, which we said was 12. Height, which we said was 12 times sine of 60. Oops. Okay? There it is. 374.12. Make sure you round it how the Alex tells you to round it. Be careful with that. So don't overthink this, guys. You do need to use sine, cosine, tangent. Just find exactly what you need. Cross multiply as you need to. And you let the calculator deal with the number crunching itself, okay? Desmos.com/scientific works great for what we need it for. All right, let's go back real quick, do one more quick example. So scrolling down. So this one, I give you something slightly different. Okay, that's just a different way of presenting it. Once again, I need to find the base and the height. Now, in this case, I've actually given you the base, so you don't need to do too much about that. One thing I want to note is, again, this is still 60 degrees down here. So don't overthink that. That's still 60. In fact, all of these for the hexagon are going to be 60 degrees. So when I ask you to do sine, cosine, tangent today, you're going to do a lot of 60 degrees today. One other thing I need to go ahead and do is the entire base is 10, so I actually need to cut this in half so that I can get what I need. So when I do that, half of 10 is obviously just 5. So I'm going to come over here, label this here as 5. So this part here is 5. So opposite is right there. Hypotenuse is right there. 5 is adjacent. Now I actually don't need the hypotenuse, guys. You don't need to find it, and if it's given to you, you need to use it. But if you don't need it, then don't waste your time with it. I already have the base. It's 10. I had to cut it in half to get the 5. I need the height, which is opposite. So opposite and adjacent was going to be tangent. So I will come over here and I'll go find, let's do that. So tangent of 60 equals opposite over adjacent, which is 5. Once again, do your cross multiply business. Opposite, which is our height, equals 5 times tangent of 60. So I got everything I need. Base is 10. Height is 5 times tangent of 60. Everything I need. So I'll come over to my calculator. Go find 6 triangles once again. Times 1/2 base, which is 10. Height, which is 5 times tangent of 60. There it is. 259.81. Once again, read the ALEKS, round it how they tell you to round it, okay? All right, I'm going to make one more video for you folks about how to deal with the regular triangles as well. Same idea, it's just the setup's a little bit slightly different, but it's still the same idea. If you need additional support, you know where to find you guys, okay?